and through our purpose. And so I am so honored today. I am your host of Purpose, Passion, and Power. I'm Jessica Lynn, the founder and president of Giving Hope and Help, a nonprofit that supports the community, meets the needs in the community and beyond in many areas. But we're not here to talk about that today. We are here to talk about these beautiful women and what they do, and how we can join together to heal and to be a solution to the problem of inequality, to the problem of racism that this country has literally been built on. We have been suffering in silence for many years, and for me, the day of silence is over. And so I have to start with me with this platform. To make a change and make a difference with the community and the globe. We have to speak up. And so when I say kill the silence, that simply means kill the silence. Speak up, share your story, ask how you can help if you have not been affected. You are a part of the solution. We all are. And so with that being said, we're going to introduce our guest today and let you hear from them. I'm going to put some questions out there. Listen, this is nothing rehearsed. This is no program. This is a Speak Up, raw, uncut, transformation, transparency, all of that. We just want to be real. And so I'm going to introduce their names, and I'm going to let them talk about themselves one-on-one. I'm going to first start. We have just some powerhouses. I see Brittany on Zoom. Hello, Brittany. How are you? I can't hear Brittany. I see Deidre. Hello, Deidre.
Hello,
I
Jessica.
hear you.
Thanks for having us join you.
Absolutely. Brittany, say something again, please.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much, Brittany. We have Caroline Hammond, and we have Dr. Tracy Williams. So we're just so excited to have them. I am going to let each of them talk and speak. If you're just tuning in, you're tuned into the Purpose, Passion, and Power show. And I wanted to have these ladies on. Tracy and Deidre were scheduled to be on anyway today. And with what's going on with the country, I thought, why not just add some white women in so that we can conversate and begin the conversations and inspire other women of color to reach out and other women that are not of color to reach out to each other. Because oftentimes my experience, Tracy, is my white counterparts don't know my story. Is that your experience?
Often, yes.
Often that's your experience. Yeah. Deidre, can you concur with that as well?
Yes, I definitely concur. Yes, it's never been brought up, and it's just something that we don't always share with each other. Mm-hmm. And I think it is something that we should definitely start doing. Mm-hmm. I think it will unite us together as well.
Absolutely. And so that's the purpose of this. And so I want to start off with Caroline. I want you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Safe in Harm's Way. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that we talk about your missions, ladies, first, and then we'll get into the conversations.
Well, thank you, first of all, for inviting me here today. I really appreciate it. And absolutely. I know our conversation has grown from just us deciding to be authentic with each other. Mm-hmm. And as we did that, our friendship grew.
Yes.
Which is really pretty cool.
Yes. Yes.
So thanks for having me today. So I am the founder and the CEO of Safe in Harm's Way. Now, Safe in Harm's Way is on every social media platform. So we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, Spotify, Instagram, and we have our new website launching within the next month. And what we do is we work with survivors of domestic abuse. And we're that bridge between the shelters that can offer services, and when you're sheltering in place at home or you can't yet gain resources, you've got this middle ground where you can start to build and heal and find the right folks to help you live a life after abuse. So we're in every healing modality, and we work with survivors to enable them to build new lives.
Amazing, amazing. And you have a powerful story. I'm already asking you to come back because I want to talk a little bit more about your story. You yourself are a survivor of abuse.
I am a survivor of abuse. And if not for a network of people that came together and not for some very strategic planning, it would have been very difficult for me to escape my abuser. So everything built from Safe in Harm's Way is around my own experience.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all you do. We're fellow advocates, and we are in this thing together, not just for domestic violence. If we can speak out for that, we can definitely speak out for racial inequality. And so I appreciate you for being here so much.
Thank you.
Hello, Miss Deidre. Tell us a little bit about you. Are you there, Deidre?
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
I was on mute.
Okay.
Yes, my name is Deidre Nickel. I'm a local realtor with Nickel Stellar Homes. And basically, what I actually am a realtor who try to help out the community, giving back by helping out people that are not educated about purchasing homes. And there's a lot of people out there that don't know the process and aren't familiar with they're paying rent in the same amount of that they're paying their rent. They can pay a mortgage. And then they're also leaving a legacy for themselves and their family. So my goal and purpose is to basically educate our new home buyers and even the existing ones. Sometimes they want to move and they want to upgrade. My job, again, is to make sure that I'm educating them on that new purchase, or if they want to buy, sell, but giving back and educating and helping in every real estate need that client and friend, or sometimes it's my family that I'm helping out. But I really like to give back to the community, so I'm really trying to find those that are not educated on the home buying process.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to Tracy. Tracy, tell us a little bit about you before we get into the conversation.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me today. I'm really honored to be here to join this crucial conversation, and it's really lovely to meet all you wonderful powerhouse women in here. But I am Tracy Williams, and I'm the founder of Inspiring Hope. And HOPE stands for having only positive expectations, because I believe that is possible. If the word says it's possible to have anything, that we can do all things through Christ, then definitely my passion and my purpose is to really bring healing to women and youth. The whole thing about inspiring women is I love to empower and inspire into women, which means to breathe into them life so they can have their kingdom identity, their purpose, and walk in their purpose in authority, and do it with authenticity. Not being ashamed, but going from probabilities to possibilities. Because many times we believe, I probably could do that, or if they could do it, then maybe I can. But you know what? We can do all things through Christ. If we believe we can do it. And so I love showing women how to take that practically and really apply that through the power of vision and the power of prayer and all that mixed together.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for all you do, Tracy. Hello, Miss Brittany. Tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, Jessica, and hi, ladies. So my name is Brittany Verrett, and I work in an education nonprofit here in Kansas City. It's called Prep KC, and we work with 6 urban school districts and 4 charter schools, and we bring college and career programming to those students that we serve. So our job is to, and we take our mission very seriously, we want more equity in education. So we work with students who have a higher incident of students who are on free and reduced lunch. So that's an indicator of a poverty level. And then we also work with a majority of students who are of color. So we're working with students who have been most disadvantaged socioeconomically, because we're wanting to try to right those wrongs and bring equity to the education system, which is no small feat. So that's actually how I met Jessica, because we do this work without a lot of people in the community. And I reached out to Jessica to volunteer with us, and we were just like of like mind and really tracking with each other and agreeing on so many levels. And it was really it was divine providence, I think. It was really great to talk when we did. And I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm honored that you are all here. Thank you so much. This is been heavy on my heart for us to do something as a group that has been separate in so many ways. And so we're going to come together and we're going to ignite change. And it starts with a conversation. I have had many white friends reach out to me. You were one that reached out to me before I reached out to you. That speaks a lot to me. That speaks volume to me. Wow. You know where people are by their silence. Their silence can be loud, or their silence can be killed. And thank you so much for killing the silence, breaking the silence of conversations that need to be started. And so there are many that reached out to me, and many responded to me reaching out to them. And so I thank them all. We are starting to change things. And so with that being said, I am going to ask a question to you, Brittany. You shared a little bit with me regarding your dad and regarding your identity. And I want you to talk a little bit about that. I know that you are all about social change and an advocate for social injustices, but if you can just talk to me a little bit about and tell us about your experience passing as white.
Sure. Yeah. So, and Jessica and I, we just spoke about this a few days ago. So I am biracial, but completely white passing, meaning I've never encountered any form of discrimination due to my race. And my father cannot say the same. My father is also biracial, but he is a larger percentage of Black. And it means that he has been treated in the world as a Black man. And he grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Woo woo! I have to give a shout out.
In the 50s and 60s, yes.
Where did he graduate from?
Yes.
What college did he graduate
from? Southern.
That's what I want to hear. Thank you so kindly.
Yes. He's a Southern graduate.
If you didn't know, I am an HBCU grad. I'm a proud HBCU grad from Southern University. So thank you, Daddy Verrett. For
Yes. So yeah, Verrett's it's a big family in Louisiana. Usually most people in Louisiana know a Verrett somewhere. So he grew up going to an all-Black school, an all-Black high school, a HBCU, and encountered an incredible amount of both systemic and very personal persecution for his color. And so it's being biracial, but always having been white passing, that has a unique effect on you when you're growing up and you know what your own family, what your own blood has gone through, and you feel a sense of a sense of shame of being spared, and also a sense of duty to right those wrongs. And but my place in the conversation is different than my dad's would be, because I am white passing. That makes a big difference in my experience. It means that I have white privilege, and it means that my voice in this needs to be a voice of allyship, meaning my role is to raise the voices of people of color to tell their story and to use my privilege to benefit the cause. So I'm very aware that my privilege gives me a unique place in this conversation, and I have to be aware of that, and I have to use it to the advantage of all.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much. I love the part where you said you have to use the white privilege to be an ally. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like it's every white person's job should be to use their privilege to benefit all. And I'm blanking on who said this quote, but injustice anywhere is a hit to justice everywhere. Mm-hmm. So you can't live in a society that promotes putting down one group over another, mm-hmm. and not have that impact you. And I it seems like the events lately have started to turn the tide, and maybe we have momentum now like we haven't had maybe since the 60s. But I think it's our job to keep the momentum going, keep the conversations going. And honestly, white people have to get more comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mm.
Time
Wow.
to stop just avoiding conversations because they could be hard. We're really past that. People are dying,
Yeah.
and have been dying. So we're past the point of avoiding things just because they're uncomfortable. And you have to know, as a white person, you're going to mess up. You will definitely mess up. You can't grow up in this society and not have some amount of prejudice. You live in a prejudiced society, so it's natural that you're going to absorb those prejudices, and you have to live with that. You have to be in humility of that and be willing to learn and be corrected. So I believe that's our job. That's the job of white people in this fight, is to be an ally and to be humble and to elevate the voices of color.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I know. Boom. Mic drop right
Yeah,
there.
I think the show's over.
Yeah, we can go.
Wow. Thank you for tuning in. If you are just now tuning in, wow. That's my word. If you know me, that's my word. And then the next word following that is praise the Lord, everybody. Sister Brittany has preached. Amen.
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 And so I'm just thankful for that. I want to move on to Sister Deidre. Deidre is in an interracial marriage, and she is the mother of 2 beautiful black sons. And when I was speaking with Deidre, she said something paramount, and I'm going to say it. You can fix it or whatever you want to do, Deidre, but I want to say it so you don't forget that this is what I want you to talk about. But she had mentioned to me that she told her son's father, regardless of what area you put him in and what school you put him in, he will always be looked at as black. Passing it over to you, Deidre.
Absolutely. Yes, you said it correctly. So before we even get on this call, my son, who is now 20, he is actually in the Coast Guard. And him and I just kind of revisit this conversation. He was kind of just talking to me and prepping me. And he's like, okay, Mom, before you go out here and, you talk about this, I want you to know that I'm very proud of you for always acknowledging and expressing that, yes, you are, I always told him, hey, you're biracial. You're a mixture, you have black and white. But I've always explained to him that society will always see him as a black young man, no matter the color of his skin. He's much like Brittany's complexion. He can pass for Hispanic. I won't say white, but his hair was blonde at one point, so they did think that he was fully white, but he was not, and he is not. And so basically what happened was his father had enrolled him in a predominantly 96% white school. And so we all wanted what was best for him, better education. He's a football player, we wanted him to have all the benefits that we could not provide to him in an inner city school or even in the school district that we was in. And so we did that. But the thing was, I did not want my son to lose his identity. And I also did not want him to feel like he had to make a choice of who he was or change who he is. His name, I've always said, if someone asks you who you are, you tell them your name. If they ask you what race you are, you're more than welcome to fill them in and let them know that you're biracial. But the thing is your identity lies in God and who He created you to be. That's first and foremost. So he experienced a lot of, unlike you, Brittany, he did not pass for white. And he, by playing sports and being as involved, he experienced a lot of flashback due to his color. He was passed over due to his color. And that hurt. That hurt as a mother to see him experience that. But still, through it all, he took his stand, and he always prayed, Mom, what God has for me, I'm going to have. No matter, no one can ever take that away. So I'll give this short story. I shared this with Jessica, my son was driving in a predominantly white neighborhood in a very nice vehicle, and he was racially profiled. He was just leaving a friend's house, and one of our relatives is a police officer. So he knew immediately from what I taught him is first, you pick up the phone, you contact our relative, you keep it on speaker, you keep your hands where they can see them at all times, and speak slowly and clearly so that they can understand. Yes, sir. Totally told him what he needed to do. And so he did those things, and the officer ended up saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. We got a complaint of someone driving around the neighborhood, and they was looking suspicious, so that's why they stopped him." Well, the officer on the phone said, "Okay, well, is it okay if be released?" He said, "Oh, yes. I'm so sorry for your wasting your time." And my son was able to continue on and come home. But that was a very scary feeling because it could have went south.
Well, if he did not have that relative on the phone, he clearly could have lost his life. I saw a lady pulled over yesterday up north, and that's not a good place to be pulled over if you're black. And she had 3 children in the car. And of course, the trooper, it was a state trooper that had her pulled over. And I'm getting that feeling in my stomach, even just talking about it. Praying that I don't see her on the news tonight dead. No, all cops are not bad. We know that. But we know that hundreds have been killed by cops, and they've been unarmed. And there's been no justice for that. And so those feelings of seeing a person of color being pulled over, whether it be Hispanic, Asian, or black, or any person of color, I get a sick feeling in my stomach every time I see that. Now, I do not get that feeling if they're white. And that is a problem. That is a feeling that I don't want my grandchildren to have to feel. This has got to stop. And so where does it begin? Many have reached out. Many have said, what can I do? We're here to talk about some of the what can you do's. And the first thing that you can do is you can start the conversation. Caroline, let's talk a little bit about what your family is doing.
Sure. I'm a St. Louis native, so I grew up in the Florissant area, which just runs right up to Ferguson. Now, my family is filled with police officers. My dad was a police officer. My former husband, we were married for 20 years. That marriage ended in very big kindness and very good ways. And cousins, stepmom to my children, all police officers. So we had a front row seat to everything going on in Ferguson back when Michael Brown was killed. And we have family who are Ferguson police officers. So we had this front row view of everything that was going down. And back then, all we wanted was our family and friends to come home. All we wanted was for there to be the realization that not every cop was bad. And all we wanted was for there to be just peace in the area. And at the time, we were affected in certain ways because of that connection to Ferguson, personally. And my children were definitely affected. And we were very much all lives matter, blue lives matter. And then as we heard stories and we reached out to our black friends and we had these awkward conversations, and I am all about an awkward conversation. You can ask my best friend, and she's like, whenever you say, let's have an awkward conversation about that, I am prepared that what comes next out of your mouth might be a little painful, but we need to have it, right? So when we started having those conversations, we slowly realized, okay, this is a thing. And so we felt as a family that if we can have had a front row seat to that and have lived through some significant outcomes of that, then we can also lay our voice down and say, Black Lives Matter, and here is why. Because if we can go through that, then we can give those people who are currently saying, I don't get it, and all lives matter, we can say, no, here is decades of systematic oppression that needs to be corrected. And if we can lend our voice to that, then we need to raise our hands. So we've had family meetings. We've initiated Zoom calls with other people. What are the resources and the homework we need to do? And how can we have these tiny little moments of conversation with people? And if it's awkward and if it hurts, well, growth hurts. And if you have the conversation and the reaction you get back is somebody who's willing to have the conversation with you, perfect. Let's talk all day. If not, then you know where you stand. And that's a powerful thing to know as well. But we have to, from our standpoint, especially my girls and I, being able to speak up and have those difficult conversations with our friends.
How does that go?
It starts with, well, did you ever think about it this way? I realize this isn't something that you've experienced, but can you have empathy for the fact that someone else has, and that's their truth? Because as I talked about, as a family of police officers, we wanted our people to come home. It's
You didn't
based
think
in
about
fear.
it on the other end.
The other side of the conversation is Black people just want their people to come home. Black people just want there not to be this systematic where they worry and fear. They don't want an overall race to be stigmatized, just as we didn't want our overall police officers to be stigmatized. Everybody is living their most authentic self in real and true ways, and we all just want the same thing. So if we can just come to the table and agree on that, then we start to realize, I may not have experienced this in my life, but I get that you have, and because you have, and because of the outcomes, and because for the first time in decades we're catching it all on tape, this is a problem.
Have you ever had a white woman tell you that that's BS? You know, tell us a little bit more.
Currently, no. Currently, I haven't. But I've also just been starting to have the conversations. And you and I talked about that. I think as I will speak for myself, this is my truth. When you suddenly are awakened to everything around you, it's a little embarrassing. I mean, my daughter has spent a great amount of time texting and calling back her Black friends from when Ferguson hit and saying, I'm so sorry. And thank you for not giving up on me. I didn't get it then. It took me a while to get it. Thank you for being my friend through all of it. Thank you for encouraging me.
Wow.
Thank you for helping me along in my education. So those conversations that when you start to be awakened to that, it's a little embarrassing because you should have known all along. It's in the news. You should have been aware. You should have been able to say, I get this. But so there's a little bit of embarrassment with coming to the table and saying, I'm awakened now. Help me. So far, people are willing to have the conversation with me. But I do believe it happens one-on-one. When you post on social media and you have something, you have people who are on your, I'm not going to say side, but are of the same journey as you, supporting you. And you have people who are not on that same journey, blasting. It doesn't work on social media. It works in the tiny moments when you text or call or send a message and say, I'd like you to think about your words. I just sent this Facebook message to someone who posted something, and I said, your words matter and you carry influence. And right now what you're putting out into the world is the exact opposite of bringing people together. You are actually making the chasm wider. And because you have influence, it's your duty to know that words matter. And if you'd like to have a conversation about it, it might be awkward. Here's my phone number. Let's set a time to chat.
Did they respond?
I haven't heard back yet. But from those I have heard back from, they're willing to have the conversation. And I'm willing to say, let me send you resources. We have a Zoom call and we have a group chat of friends of ours, and we send each other resources so that we can pass those resources on to other white people to say, here's what you need to be thinking about. Because this has got to stop. If we all just want our people to come home safe, we have got to make those kill the silence kind of conversations that bring that about.
We have to have those conversations. what is so paramount about what you said is that you are taking the initiative,
Yes.
and that falls under kill the silence. You're not just saying, oh, that's the way they are, they were brought up that way. No, you're like, no, you need to check your words. And I love the way you put it. And nobody can do it like a person that is white on white, right? Because of the privilege that you have carried. And regarding your daughter saying, thank you so much for being my friend through all of this, we as a people, we are the most forgiving and loving people on earth, because we're still here, for one, and we have still thrived through all of it, and we cannot carry that as a people universally. We have to love. We have to keep on moving, because the negativity that has been dished out to us is a norm, and that's what's got to stop.
I appreciate you and your willingness, because there's been times in our conversations you've corrected me.
I didn't know that.
And I didn't even, I know neither one of us, I'm like, hey, thank you. You just kind of set me on a different path. And you're like, I didn't even realize I corrected you. Like, you didn't. You did it with just saying, hey, imagine this now. Right? That's all you need. Can you imagine what this is like for me?
Yeah.
We just got to get people not defending themselves and willing to have the conversation that what is being viewed and what is happening is wrong.
Yes.
And you wouldn't want it done to your family.
Yeah.
Not ever.
Yeah.
And we're all family. We all just want that for our family.
That's right.
Let's agree on that, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
And then move forward from there.
That's phenomenal. That is phenomenal. It's 5:35. Mr. Walker, I think we're going to take a quick break and come back in 1 minute. 1 minute. So, Deidre and Brittany, you're going to call back in on the second Zoom, okay? All right. We'll see you in 1 minute. You can hang up and call back on the second Zoom. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back in 1 minute. You're tuned into Purpose, Passion, and Power with Jessica Lynn. Hello, hello again. Thank you for being with us today on Purpose, Passion, and Power Show with Jessica Lynn. I am here with some phenomenal guests on Zoom, Brittany Verrett and Deidre Nickel. I have Caroline Hammond here in the studio and Dr. Tracy Williams, and I'm so excited. We have had a wonderful, transparent conversation. We were right before the break. We were talking to Caroline, and I'd like for you to just finish your thought, and then we're going to move on to Dr. Williams.
Thank you. You know, one of the things we decided as a family, because of what we've experienced, or better said, not experienced in our lives, we have a weight and a duty to carry that message forward to other people. Because of our experiences and our own journey, when we can state authentically and in the truth, even if it feels weird, our own journey on this, my daughter says it best. We have a weight and a burden to bring that out into the world and to our white friends. It is our job and it is our responsibility.
Wow. Thank you for doing that. Thank you so much for doing that. Because you can just sit in your happy place, right?
That's right. And be comfortable.
And be comfortable and say it's not affecting me, but it is affecting you.
It is, and it's affecting the people that we love. It's affecting the people we love. And we're not going to turn our backs any longer on those awkward conversations when it comes to standing up for what is occurring in the Black community and what our family and friends experience. We cannot turn a blind eye to any longer.
So what is your response when someone says all lives matter?
My response when all lives matter is to say they do. They do, you're right. But right now, what's experiencing in the world and what has been going on for decades, if not longer, is
Centuries.
that Black lives, Black lives matter, because what's being experienced now is at a greater rate than what any white person is experiencing. So it does matter now, because if we can't move along on that continuum, then we have wasted decades and we will waste the future. And this has to stop.
Yes.
It has to end.
Yes.
So those kinds of conversations, and even talking about our experience where we didn't get that back when we were living through everything going on in Ferguson, and now we do, because we took the time to talk to our Black friends and get their experiences. And when you do that, or if we can relate those experiences to other white people, then that empathy, that I get it, starts to happen. It's the weight on us to accomplish.
Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening.
having me.
Thank you for wanting to learn. Thank you. We're going to move to Tracy. Tracy. How old were you when you first experienced racism?
Whoa, this goes back. When I first noticed, I was in grade school. You know what? I was, because they had just made us change. They had just started busing us to different schools. So I was about the 5th grade, actually. And it was the first time I ever sat directly across from a white person in close proximity outside of my home. Now, in my home, my mom worked with white friends. We always had white friends over, and she always had like college students. She would have them come over. We would have picnics together and all that stuff. But just like, outside of my own home, it was like, so yeah, I was like 5th grade.
And you noticed that there was a difference. Can you remember or expound on any experience as a child?
Well, the feeling was not great, and I think it's Maya Angelou that had the saying that you don't always remember what people say, but you do remember how they make you feel.
Yes. And
I remember feeling this nervous jitteriness inside, like, so is something wrong with me?
Even though you had been around whites in your home.
Right.
You still felt this way outside of your home.
Yeah, in school.
In school.
In a place of learning.
So there were some environmental influences that obviously had you feeling this way. You probably couldn't process it as a child. But now as an adult, there had to be something to make you feel weird.
Yeah, correct. So my experience as an adult, I remember very vividly. I was 24 years old. I was working, and I began to train a young lady that was white. to do my job in a different city. They came and hired her. And so then they replaced her. They replaced my job with her and paid her more money. So my mom told me to go in there every day, be very nice and cordial, and write down everything that happens, and write the date and the time, and be as specific as possible. And I still didn't understand what was going on, what she wanted me to do with that information. But I do remember her saying, okay, now I'm going to have you go to this building and talk to these people, and we're going to sue them. And we did. But the bad part was I had to do it twice. I won both times. But I had to do it for the same reasons twice.
And I feel that pain is still there. And I feel that. And we fight so hard as a people. We have to have the best GPAs. We have to have the best degrees. We have to have, the best. And I think one of the biggest fallacies with us as a people is that we think we have to send our kids to the white school for them to get the best. Because the systemic racism that America has been built on has taught us that we ourselves are not good enough to ourselves. That's got to stop. That's got to stop. That's got to stop. My whole career in corporate America was that you cannot share what you make to your counterparts. And I know today why that is. Because they were making more than we were. That wasn't for them. That was for people of color. Not to share what you make, because so-and-so and so-and-so could come in younger than you and, make more as long as they are of the right color. And so this systemic racism is just so deep, and it's more than this 1 hour conversation can give us. But I feel your pain on that. I myself have had very similar stories. We all have. I'm sure Deidre has had very similar stories to this type of thing in corporate America. Mine have been so brutal. One in particular where I was, I really can't give too many details because then the community would know. But I was young. I was less than 25 years old in corporate America with a master's degree. And I had my tassel hanging from my rearview mirror. And I was on a ride-along with a superior. And the tassel moves when the car moves. It just kind of goes back and forth, and everybody knows what the tassel is, right? It's because you graduated from something. And the superior said, "What is this?" And I said, "Oh, that's my tassel. I graduated with my master's degree." And the superior said, "This is getting on my nerves." And he literally took it off of my rearview mirror and put it on the floor of my car. As a black woman, I knew that I had to stay in my place, or I would lose my job. These stories go on and on and on and on and on and on. That is social injustice. That's flat out racism. That's literally a modern day spitting in your face, a modern day lynching of your dignity, of your self-respect. And we have been taught, just like your mother taught you, write everything down. Write everything down. But if my friend over here had nothing written down and simply called the police and said a black man was attacking her, he could possibly lose his life. America, we have work to do. We've got work to do. We've got work to do. We can't solve it all here, but we can tell some stories. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I can say from that experience, it kind of began a journey for me to help me explore myself and my beliefs, my own prejudices, my own shortcomings, the best things about me, to help me love me completely. And I think this is one of the best things that can come out of having these hard conversations, these things that make us uncomfortable, is growth. And that's what we all need, whether we like it or not, we feel like it or not, because because of how we feel, our emotions, they're not really who we are. They are just energy in motion. And we can go through 20 emotions in one day or in 5 minutes a lot of times. But if we begin to just sit down and ask ourselves some hard questions, when we're willing to do that, like Jessica's willing to do with us today, and put it out here before the world to see and to understand and to begin to open up their own conversations. I think this is a good place to start.
Yes.
But we also have to remember that, this is not just a direct polarization of white against blacks or white and brown against blacks or, right and wrong and up and down. We have to remember the core of who we are, that we are seated in heavenly places, and we are not fighting against flesh and blood. It's not about that. We are fighting against principalities, powers of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. That's who we are fighting against. And so we will begin to remember that first. Then we don't react. We respond. So a response is, you can say whatever you want to say, but when you get through talking, and I get through writing down and doing what my mama said because I have self-discipline, I'm going to win your money. And that's one of the answers to people to wake up and understand. See, people might not understand your pain, but they do understand their pain. And when you hit them in their pockets, they understand that. So I'm all for, the blackout days. And I mean days. So nobody has to call for me to say blackout day. There are just so many days during the week where I refuse to buy anything from anybody anywhere. And there's so many times now that I have a greater awakening and understanding in me that says, I'm going to support a black sister. Nothing against the brothers, but you know what? My ministry that I serve ladies. And so I'm going to be supporting sisters.
Yes.
Okay. And so, yeah, so that was all I wanted to say, is that we got to start there.
Well, I think that is paramount, what you shared there, Tracy. I wrote a few things down. Psalms 89:14 says, from God's throne comes righteousness and justice. These two are always side by side. Righteousness and justice. They're not first cousins. They're identical twins. They have to be together. Righteousness and justice. Proverbs 31, 6 through 9 talks about how we must take care of each other and feed each other. Doesn't talk about anything about race. So you need to check out Proverbs 31, 6 through 9. We are so used to talking about that Proverbs 31 woman. We talk about that Proverbs 31 woman, and it begins with verse 10. But if you just go up 1 to 2 verses to Proverbs 31, in verse 6, it says, give strong drink to him who is perishing. I'm sorry, let's back up. Lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the justice of all of the afflicted. Give strong drink to him who is perishing, and wine to him who is bitter of heart. Let him drink and not forget his poverty, and remember his misery is no more. Open your mouth. Verse 8. Speak up. Stand up. Open your mouth for the speechless. This is just above Proverbs 31. Open your mouth for the speechless in the cause, protesting, of all who are appointed to die. All who are dying. Speak up. Open your mouth. It's in the word. Protest peacefully. Open your mouth for the speechless. Privilege. Speak and help us. Open your mouth for the speechless in the cause of all who are appointed to die. Open your mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. Plead the cause of justice. Plead the cause of social justice, and to end racism and inequalities amongst all people. And until Black Lives Matter in the all, no lives matter. All lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. I have so much written down, and we don't have a lot of time, but I do want to give a resource. And that resource is it's a book called Can We All Get Along? I bought this book, I believe, in 1992. Can We All Get Along? I looked on Amazon. Can you believe it's still there? It's still there. To make this world a better place, an inspiring and informative guide for using and understanding and action. Can we all get along? 50 steps you can take to help end racism in your home, at your work, in your community. It's by Clyde W. Ford, and the foreword is by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King III. So this book is a resource. I have many resources. I have many movies. I have them all listed here. Things that you need to watch and tune into. But my list is literally at 100 movies. And I'm going to be sharing them on social media, and I'm going to be sharing documentaries that you must see. But currently, you can watch Just Mercy for free. You can watch Just Mercy for free. It is starring Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx. It came out in 2019 here. And you can, I think we're having an echo or something over here. My list is literally I'm repeating over here. Movies, and I'm going to be sharing them on social media, and I'm going to be sharing documentaries that you must see. No, I can see them on my phone. It's okay. Oh, okay. So yes, there are plenty of movies, but if you are a person that has no idea where to begin, here's a great place. Can We All Get Along? By Clyde W. Ford. I do have other resources. If you follow Jessica McClellan on Facebook, I will be sharing more things. We have just a few minutes left. I want to get some closing remarks from Miss Deidre and Miss Brittany. Deidre, tell us a little bit of closing remark about being married to a white man.
Absolutely. So we definitely had our challenges. We would go in the restaurant and or we're at the movies and we're in line. If I place my order first, they'll go ahead and close my bill out and then think that we're separate. So we've had that happen several times. We've had a lot of people give us stares, like we walk in and people will just stop and stare and look at us. So it has its challenges. The one thing that my husband and I, we chuckle and we laugh, and we're just like, we don't even care. We know that God created us as one. And I say that because God didn't look at color. And so we, in our family, in our household, we say that we don't see color. And in our family, we don't. My husband and I are on the same page, and we do a lot of praying. I don't know if I'm friends with you on Facebook, you've seen my post. And in closing, this is kind of what I said in my post before. I pray right now for those that see color and for those that can't see past it. Because what I don't know is I don't know their story, and I don't know why they can't see past color, because my mother raised me not to see color. And so it's never been an issue for me. Sometimes we have to step outside of who we are and what we believe and how we was raised and see that there's another side to that story. So what I always do is I leave it open. So if there was a particular person that came to me and wanted to know, what does it feel like to be married to a white man? That it feels the same to be married to a black man or any other man. He's a man. There's not a difference in from what I can see. But we do get stares, we do get the looks, and we just do a lot of praying, and we thank God that we weren't raised, or we aren't those type of people to where we see color. And we do the same for our boys. We teach them by them being biracial that not to see color, and that whoever they decide to marry, as long as they love that person, that's what matters. And we teach them put God first, well, anything. And with that being said, I think that sometimes we have to give those grace. I'm not saying that I tolerate racism, but what I am saying is what I do understand is that I can't change it all, but God can, so I continue to pray for peace. And
pray for peace.
Everyone is protesting. I pray for peaceful protest. And I believe you should stand up for what you believe. But I believe that there's a peaceful way of doing it. And I believe God's way is to stand in prayer. I agree with you, Jessica, with those scriptures that you quoted, that sometimes we have to go back to the Bible, because those are the answers. What you just read were the answers to what's going on. The solution is in the Bible. If we put it first and we put God first, things will be a lot different in this world. So my prayer for us all as we unite as women is to put God first and to pray and to remember that sometimes we have to give others grace just like God has given us grace.
Right. We have literally 30 seconds left, so I'm going to have to close out with this. Thank you, ladies, so much for coming. We will continue the conversation. If you're tuned in, thank you for tuning in. We want to continue the conversation. We want to do more. I do want to say this closing remark until we will continue to see injustice until the privileged who love with the love of Jesus speak up, stand up, and do Proverbs 31, 6 through 8. We have to do that. We have to do that. We have to speak up. The social injustices of discrimination from unfair practices, racial discrimination, gender discrimination, age, ethnicity discrimination, inequality of health care. One of the number one reasons so many blacks have COVID-19 right now. There's so many disparities. Every area of American life is discriminated against for people of color. And every single day, living black can be painful if you look at everything. And so we want to change that. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back again on the third Sunday of June. This is Purpose, Passion, and Power with Jessica Lynn, a different conversation, a new conversation to kill the silence. Be blessed.
Very good, Jess. Very good.
Well done, Jess.
For the break, we were talking to Caroline, and I'd like for you to just finish your thought, and then we're going to move on to Dr. Williams.
Thank you. You know, one of the things we decided as a family, because of what we've experienced, or better said, not experienced in our lives, we have a weight and a duty to carry that message forward to other people. Because of our experiences and our own journey, when we can state authentically and in the truth, even if it feels weird, our own journey on this, my daughter says it best. We have a weight and a burden to bring that out into the world and to our white friends. It is our job and it is our responsibility.
Wow. Thank you for doing that. Thank you so much for doing that. Because you can just sit in your happy place, right?
That's right. And be comfortable.
And be comfortable and say it's not affecting me, but it is affecting you.
It is, and it's affecting the people that we love. It's affecting the people we love. And we're not going to turn our backs any longer on those awkward conversations when it comes to standing up for what is occurring in the Black community and what our family and friends experience. We cannot turn a blind eye to any longer.
So what is your response when someone says all lives matter?
My response when all lives matter is to say they do. They do, you're right. But right now, what's experiencing in the world and what has been going on for